Hey, what's up people, this is Sarang and in this video I'm going to tell you the correct way to lose weight, because there are a million ways of losing weight. There are a million kind of diets out there. There are many methods, strategies that can work for you to lose weight, but if you don't do it correctly, or you will almost always gain all of your weight back. So in this video we are going to talk about the correct way to lose weight. I don't know about the correct way to lose weight, but I'm definitely going to point out one crucial fundamental thing that almost every person misses out on, and that is like the most crucial and fundamental thing that you need to understand if you want to lose weight and keep it off. If you are an overweight person and you have been trying to lose weight, you obviously know that there are a million kinds of diet out there. Every diet has a component of conscious restriction of food. So if you go for the ketogenic diet, for example, in ketogenic diet, what we do is we just limit our carbs to 30 grams a day or 50 grams a day. And because of that conscious restriction of food, that I'm not going to eat anything that is going to have carbohydrates in that, because of that conscious restriction, you get yourself in calorie deficit and you lose weight. If you go for things like low fat diet, we consciously restrict foods that have a lot of fat or added fats or any of that kind of stuff. So we end up in a calorie deficit. The most common kind of restriction is direct calorie restriction. Just count your calories, count your metabolic rate, how much calories you burn per day, and put yourself in a consistent calorie deficit. Now there is literally nothing wrong in all of these methods, but you need to understand one thing if you really want to lose weight. And that one thing is, it doesn't matter how much consciously you restrict food intake. Food intake is one of those crucial things that is necessary for our survival. So when we evolved from like 3 million years, 2.5 to 3 million years, our species evolved into human beings. Our brains have like a state of the art calorie counters. So our brain, the amount of food that we eat when we are not making any conscious effort to restrict any kind of macronutrient or number of calories we are eating, or any conscious restriction of food, our brain is the thing that regulates food intake. So this is the point that I'm sure that you don't understand it now. That I'm going to explain it to you how important this is to really achieve permanent weight loss once and for all. Food intake is regulated by your unconscious brain. Okay, you cannot possibly regulate your food intake consciously for the rest of your life. If I told you that just for the rest of your life, all you need to do is count every bite of food that you're eating, you need to weigh and measure carbohydrate, fats, proteins, and all your calories, you possibly cannot do that. I mean, some people can do that, but for most of the people out there, most of you are not going to do that. So you need to understand really this thing, that your brain, your unconscious brain, regulates your food intake. Your brain has basically two functions by which it because of which it maintains your regulates your food intake. Those two things are maintaining your body weight set point. Your body weight set point is basically the point at which your brain wants to keep your body weight at. So if you're 100 kilograms, your brain does not want you to lose weight, and your brain also does not want you to gain weight. Your brain regulates food intake to maintain your body weight set point, and it also maintains and it also regulates food intake according to the reward you are getting. That means the pleasure that you're getting. So this is where things go wrong. It is the food reward in the modern day that we are eating. We are getting so much food reward. Food reward is basically the pleasure you get from eating food. So that was a build up to the point that I want to make now. So here is the thing. So if you are an overweight person, basically all you need to understand is your brain is addicted to food reward. Your brain, other than just maintaining your body weight, your brain also is seeking for the reward that you get from food. So when I say reward, all I mean is your brain is basically addicted to the pleasure you get from food. And addiction is a strong word, but it sort of is a milder form of addiction to the pleasure that you get from food. So here is the thing. Every time you eat food, it doesn't matter how small is the quantity of the food, every time you eat food that you like very much, this reward pathway, the reward pathway of eating more and more of that food and not slamming the brains and telling you to stop eating, that gets strengthened every time you eat hyperpalatable, highly rewarding food. So when you hear things like, just if you just control your calories, then you can eat anything under those calories and still you will lose weight. Yes, you will lose weight, but you will also gain it back again, because you are just constantly giving your brain that reward. So it is basically a memory circuit. You need to really forget, your brain needs to forget the reward and the pleasure that you get when you eat hyperpalatable, highly rewarding foods. So what happens when you let go of that conscious control of the conscious control over food intake and you go back to a normal diet? These reward pathways are not faded out, and they are all, we can also say that they are even more strengthened, because you were constantly reminding of the taste of that food to your brain all along. So because of that, your brain is going to increase your food intake once you let go of that conscious control of the food. Your brain is going to make you crave more of those hyperpalatable, highly rewarding foods, and your brain is also going to eat more of that food than usual. So because of that overeating, after a certain while, you are going to put all that weight back. So here is the solution for this whole problem. So I think almost 60 to 80% of the problem with weight regain lies in this little thing. So what you need to do is, if you're an overweight person, especially if you're an overweight person and you have been overweight all your life, almost right from the beginning, right from when you're a child, you need to understand that your reward pathways, those memory circuits of getting high pleasure from hyperpalatable, awesomely tasting foods, you need to fade those out. Unless you don't fade those out, your brain is still going to be hooked on those foods, and when you let go of whatever conscious calorie control or food intake, food regulation you are practicing, when you let go of that and you get back to your normal diet, your brain is going to make you overeat on all of those foods. Your brain is going to make you crave that, going to make hungry for that, and you are going to put on all your weight back. So what you need to do is for 2 to 3 months, so for 8 to 12 weeks, what you need to do is you need to completely strip out all the reward from your diet. So when I say you need to completely strip out all the reward from your diet, what I mean by that is you need to stop eating. I'm not saying minimize, limit, or everything in moderation or all that kind of thing. You need to completely strip out, avoid, get rid of any food that you like very, very much. So when you get rid of all the food, so say you like pizza very much, say you like ice cream very much, say you like fried chicken very much. So if you just get rid of that and don't eat those foods and don't remind your brain the taste of that food, your reward pathways, the pathways by which you regulate food intake, they basically over the time fade out. If you don't remind of them of that food, they basically fade out over time, and once they have faded out enough, the food, all the hyperpalatable junk food won't have any power over you. So after that, after the certain period of 2 to 3 months, or ideally 4 to 5 months, when you have went through a period where you have strictly avoided all kinds of hyperpalatable, highly rewarding foods, you can definitely start to add back one cheat meal in 2 weeks, or something like that, and just adjust your balance it and see where your sustainability lies, because you cannot obviously avoid and get rid of all those foods for the rest of your life. You need to balance out and see where you stand on the spectrum of eating really tasting foods and being lean and healthy. So the whole solution of the problem is to get rid of all the reward for a certain period of time, and then slowly add all the things that you like, and then practice moderation. So that is all I wanted to tell you, that food reward is something that is often overlooked by most of the people who try to lose weight, and unless you don't fix this problem, you're literally always going to gain all of that weight back. Sustainability and adherence and getting doing a diet that you can do for the rest of your life is one of the most important things, but I'd say that even more important than that is this concept of food reward. You really need to understand this. You need to strip out and fade out all the reward pathways that you have built over your lifetime, and really focus on correcting that. And if you really fix that, and you restore your healthy, natural relationship with food, where you're eating food only mostly for 80 to 90% of the food that you're eating are mostly for nourishment and for fuel and energy. If you do that, you will never gain the weight that you lose. You will never regain all the weight that you lose. If you still haven't understood it, I will give you a simple analogy. Now, if I were to bring you a smoker or a severe drug addict, now this might make overweight people look bad, but I'm not saying that overweight people are like drug addicts or anything like that. I'm just giving you an analogy. If you want to get a drug addicted person off drugs, you need to make him avoid drugs completely. Even if you cannot say that as long as you're taking drugs in moderation, it is okay for you. Everything in moderation does not work in every single case. What you need to understand here is you have the same kind of case with food. If you are overweight, like 99% of the people who are overweight are sort of have a they have like this dopamine pathway because of which every time they eat food, this reward pathway is getting stronger and stronger and stronger, and because of that they are getting hooked on food, and their brain is just not slamming the brakes when it should be. And it is the whole regulation of food intake to maintain your body weight is just all messed up. So to get, just like you need to get a drug addict completely off the drugs in order for him to heal the brain and to really get rid of that habit, if you want to really lose weight and maintain it, the first step that you need to do is you need to get rid of this reward pathway that you have built inside you. You really need to forget the pleasure that you need to make your brain forget the pleasure that you get from food. If you just manage to do that, trust me, that is the major part of the battle. If you manage to do that, if you manage to get the first 2-3 months without any kind of highly rewarding food, you will 100%, I cannot say 100%, but most probably you will never gain that weight back again. You will eat your food according to your fuel, your energy needs, and to maintain your body weight, and it will be perfectly like you really want. So yeah, this is it for this video. This is all I wanted to talk about. Decrease your reward if you really want to lose weight correctly and maintain it. If you have liked it, hit the like button, and if you have enjoyed this video and think that these kinds of video will help you in future, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.